Good afternoon and welcome. My name is Rasmus Wendelbo Jacobsen, and I cover the financial sector in Denmark, which means that I have the pleasure of covering BankNordik, a bank covering banking activities in Faroe Islands and Greenland, as well as insurance activities in the Faroe Islands. And with us today from BankNordik, we have Turit Finnbogadottir, who will take over as CEO come 2023. And without further ado, I will hand over the word to you, Turit, and take it away.
Thank you, Rasmus, and thank you for the introduction. And I'm happy here to have this opportunity to give you all a short presentation of BankNordik. Next slide, please. And one more. As you can see here, and as Rasmus briefly mentioned, we have announced a new management or new executive team, where Oddne Ellefsen will stay on as CEO until the release of the 2022 annual report, and then I'll take over from him as the CEO. And Heine Thomsen, as you also can see on this page, is also appointed new executive vice president. So this is the new executive team announced just prior to the summer period. Next page, please. So let's start with a brief overview of the group. We are a full-service banking institution with activities in the Faroes and in Greenland. And besides our banking activities, we also run our own non-life insurance company and a life insurance company and a real estate broker. But these three companies are solely operating in the Faroes. There are approximately 200 full-time employees in the group. And with respect to the two markets, the Faroese and the Greenlandic market, we have a leading position in the Faroes with a market share of around 42%. And we have, you can say, a challenger position in Greenland with a current market share of around 20%. So we see a growth potential in the Greenlandic market and also in the Faroese market, but especially within the insurance market in the Faroes. Yes, we can go to the next slide. If we look at the highlights for the first 6 months of this year, operating profit has improved, where growth in the insurance activities, here you can see it as the net insurance income is one of the drivers behind this increased operating profit. In general, this year we see a better balance between income and costs due to some initiatives that we executed last year. And therefore, we are well on our way now to meet our 2024 financial targets, as you also can see here in the bottom of the page. We have a strong credit portfolio. I'll come back to this a bit later on in the presentation. But here you can see it resulting in a reversal of impairment charges of 31 million Danish kroner here from the first 6 months of 2022. Earlier this year, we decided to invest 900 million that was held in cash with the Danish Central Bank in bonds, and that resulted in a negative investment portfolio earning for the first 6 months of 16 million Danish kroner. Briefly to mention some of the financial targets, capital resources are now aligned with targets, and outlook for the year is maintained, where we expect a net profit at between 160 and 190 million Danish kroner. Yeah, I think that's that. Yes, thank you. Equity story, to summarize at least some of the points from the first 2 pages. We are a significant player in the 2 attractive markets, the Faroese and the Greenlandic markets, and we are currently operating within all the main financial areas, both the private segment and the corporate segment. We have a strategic focus on delivering and improving a digital end-to-end customer experience, But we also believe that our customers at this point in time, at least, should be in control and be able to, at any point in the journey, in the digital journey, to request personalized advice that is in a human being, a real person, if they're not confident in continuing on a digital journey. Our strategic focus, both on the customer experience, but we also have this second strategic focus within our own company, and that is developing an efficient operation through digitalization and automation of all our processes. And as I mentioned, we have a low-risk loan portfolio, limited exposure to historically risky sectors, and I have a page where you can see more figures on this in a moment. And here at the bottom, you can see all our financial targets, and that we are well on our way to meet our long-term targets, 2024 targets, within all the three main areas: customers, employees, and shareholders. Yes, next page, please. ESG reporting. And back in 2021, we defined some new ESG targets, 2025 targets, and some of them one of them resulting in that we want to have no direct carbon emission in 2025. So we are currently phasing out all petrol and diesel cars in the group, and also converting from fossil fuel to sustainable sources of energy in all our buildings in the group. We also have this a great focus on developing products that support sustainable developments in the societies we are operating in, since we believe that we really can contribute to sustainable transformation of the two societies through our customers. So ESG is an area of priority and has been for us since 2016, but has developed and matured since then. And I'm sure that there's plenty more to come in following years with respect to ESG and our focus on working with the ESG related matters. So if we turn to page 8 it is, yes. Here you can see the slide I mentioned before on our exposures and capital positions. I promised to come back to our low risk loan portfolio. And here you can see that we have a strong LTV for housing loans, and also a well collateralized loan portfolio in general. Last year in 2020, we had a discretionary management estimate of 52 million Danish kroner. We recognized in 2020 due to COVID-19. And this estimate has been maintained. Of course, COVID-19 uncertainty has decreased, but the provision has been retained due to uncertainty in general, primarily caused by the war in Ukraine. And if we look to the right on this page, we can see the capital positions here in the first half of 2022. Risk exposure amount is, as you can see, is increased a bit due to higher market risk. As I started in the beginning, I told you that we have invested in some bonds instead of having cash in the central bank, and that has resulted in increased market risks. And then we also issued new MREL capital in the first half of 2022. And then there are some changes to come. You can see further to the right, on the right-hand side of this page, the net profit for 2022 after a reduction of 50% reduction in ordinary dividend has to come. And we also have some incoming legislation that is expected to reduce REA of SME exposures by around 250 million Danish kroner, and starting from next year. So they're not yet in place, but we expect them to come here in a short time. Yes, let's just change to the second. Here we can see we'll just touch upon the Faroese economy, since that's one of our major market area. The Faroese economy has a strong growth momentum. This year, we have seen the export has reached the highest level ever. We have a very low unemployment rate, and tourism has rebounded after COVID-19 and the decrease we saw due to the COVID-19 crisis. So a strong economy, but still there are some risks counting the other way, as well as all other countries in Europe. We also see inflation, a high inflation rate at the moment. We have a relatively low consumer confidence rate, and we also see it in respect to some business confidence areas. Also, through some of the sectors within business areas, we also see that the confidence has been decreased. With respect to Russia, Russia was the largest export partner before the war in Ukraine, but the companies have been able to find new markets to even higher prices than before, and that's the main reason in record high exports this year. Currently, the government is preparing upcoming negotiations with Russia, but nothing has been decided yet. And we'll have to wait and see what the outcome will be from those negotiations. Yeah, should we change to next page, please? Yes, that's the same picture, but now we are looking into the Greenlandic economy. Not a strong economy as the Faroese, but nevertheless a moderate GDP growth and a decreasing unemployment. Exports have not yet recovered, and we also see that retail sales have fallen the last year. A big issue with respect to Greenland is the 2 new airports that are set to open next year. And we expect to see a massive increase in tourism due to the new airports. But of course, it takes time to build up a new segment, a new industry like tourism. At least if it should be a significant contributor to the economic growth in the country. We have seen it in the Faroes, but it has taken, up to 10 years to reach the point we have now. So we expect that, the 2 new airports will be like a launch or trigger for an increase in tourism in Greenland. But we also expect it to take some years to build a stable economic contribution from this sector. And if we change to the next page, that's a summarization of the whole presentation. As I started by telling you, we have seen improved core operations and positive trends in our insurance operations, good credit quality, and the initiatives that we launched last year to improve the cost-income balance, they have been fruitful, and thus we are now on track to deliver our 2024 financial targets and the maintained 2022 guidance of net profit. So I guess that summarized the whole presentation. I don't know if there are any questions to some of the matters or the presentation in general.
Yes, thank you for that. I think we it would be appropriate to dive a little bit more into how your loan book has been affected by the increasing energy prices and inflation. Also, a little deeper into which sectors if you start to see some trouble signs.
Yeah. In the Faroes and Greenland, compared to the countries surrounding us, we still haven't seen increasing electricity prices or gas prices, as you see in other places. And electricity prices, it's expected to be a limited increase next year, a very limited increase. So we don't have that issue in the same way as you see in other countries, in the Faroes and in Greenland. And focus in both of the countries is on sustainable initiatives, limiting the dependencies on fossil fuels. But of course, inflation and the higher interest rates influence private households. We don't see a significant change towards this at this moment, but in the future we expect a higher level of impairment charges, but not of any significance due to our strong LTV ratios. If we look at the Faroese industry, especially fishery is exposed to oil prices, but this already has had an effect on their activities. And with higher prices on fish, as we in general can see this year, the total effect on this sector has until now at least been very limited. So no significant changes so far with respect to the Faroese private households or the sectors in general.
Yeah, that sounds good. You have a very well-driven insurance business in the Faroe Islands as of now. Maybe you could give an outlook, shortly outline the market conditions and competition if you want to expand this business to Greenland as well.
Yes, I can do that. Today, only a Danish agency operating the Greenlandic market. And although we see that prices are competitive, at least when we compare to prices in Denmark and in the Faroes, the products are not developed to the Greenlandic market. So we believe that if we are to operate in Greenland, we could provide a unique value proposition to our customers where products are developed with respect to Greenlandic issues and matters. But a prerequisite for us doing insurance business in Greenland is a license to operate in the market, and that is currently to be considered by the Danish FSA. We have received some positive feedback from the local authorities in both countries. So we believe that this is just a formal process that needs to be sorted out, but we're still waiting for this to happen. So there's potential there, but still some formal matters need to be taken care of for us to be able to enter the Greenlandic market with respect to insurance activities.
And do you have a broader timeline for these authorities' decisions?
No, we haven't got the exact timeline, but hopefully we are looking into, maybe next year or in a year from now. But it's not. I can't say. It's not up to us.
Okay. So if we look a little bit on the payout side, you have had some years with very large dividends, and at the same time you have a large ownership stake from the Faroese government. So I just wanted to hear if there's also been talk about the Faroese government wanting to sell a bit of their part, and then they haven't. So I just wanted to hear what the status is with this, and also the possibility of buybacks in this context. Is it something that you look at only if they want to sell, and should we thus expect dividends as the primary part.
Yeah, it's correct that a couple of years ago, the Faroese government announced that they were looking into selling their positions or shares in BankNordik. But as far as we know, nothing more has been done with this matter. So yeah, there's no news on respect to what we can expect from their point of view. To your questions about share buybacks, the Faroese tax legislation is currently a showstopper for us doing some buybacks at the moment, since a buyback should be, according to Faroese legislation, be taxed as dividend. And we have some discussions with the authorities in respect of getting this matter changed, but the legislation needs to be changed first in order for us to continue with some buyback programs. That's currently a showstopper.
Okay, so if we have time for one last question that could be about the fishing industry, very important for both of your markets, although they differ in Faroe Islands and Greenland as well. How do you see these industries going through the crisis? And maybe if you could add some flavor to the difference also from the block grant that Greenland is having from Denmark.
Yeah, if we start with the block grant with respect to Greenland is a stable contribution to the Greenlandic GDP, and it's a significant, very large share of their GDP. So it acts like a stable element in the Greenlandic economic development. In the Faroes, the block grant is much lesser and is a much smaller share of our GDP. So it doesn't have the same effect on the stabilizing the Faroese economy. With respect of fishing industry, I don't know if you were thinking about Russia or just in general.
More in general, I think you covered the Russia situation very well. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, in general, we see that there are some different matters with respect to the Faroese and the Greenlandic market, also related to what kind of the fishing types are exported. But we can see that the Faroese, in general, the Faroese companies have experienced a price increase this year. I guess mainly due to the crisis. When you export food and food-related products, you have a good position when you are in a situation that we are at the moment, and that is the matter for both the Faroese and the Greenlandic economy, where fish and fish-related products consist of approximately 95% of all exports. So of course, there are also some risk related to being so depending on some sectors or some industries. But still, when we're looking at the situation, global situation at the moment, we are in a good position with respect to selling our products.
Yes, I think that was it for my questions, and also about our time set here. So if you have any concluding remarks, I don't know if you have, but
yeah, no, I don't think so. I think they covered the most important issues.
Yes, perfect. Yes, but I will say thank you for presenting for us today, and we look forward to seeing you again in the future.
Thank you for the opportunity.